Okay, it's actually really funny doing Q&A, and the biggest question you guys probably are gonna ask is, what's that? It's a different story for a different video. Okay, ignore it for now. Hello friends, how are you all doing? Let me know how your June was, because I would love to hear it down in the comments below. If you guys are new, hi, my name is Ashton Hardy. I make vlogs, I make Q&As, I do reactions, and just share life, really. So stick around, press subscribe, and while you're at it, hit that like button. Helps me out a ton. So let's jump into this. Okay, I intended for this to be a Pride Month video. Just don't pay attention to the date this is being posted, okay? So I wanted to ask you guys to ask me questions about just being queer and coming out and stuff now that it's been nearly 3 years for me being openly out as gay. I have numerous stories I could share of that, and I have shared a lot of them on this channel that you can go and find, but I'm not gonna be like sharing specifically like those stories, but just more so my experience answering questions based on your questions. So let's jump into this. Okay, this first question is kind of a two-parter, but they are asking what Tortured Poets Department song kind of is like my personality right now. So this is obviously Taylor Swift's Tortured Poets Department. And I would have to say, But Daddy, I Love Him. This mainly portrays to what's going on in my life right now. I have a boyfriend, and he's great, but he definitely isn't the type of guy that I think a lot of people saw me with, whether it be looks-wise, personality-wise, just in a handful of different ways. He's not even the type of guy that I thought I would end up with. We are very different, but I think that's kind of what makes it exciting, and not like different in dangerous ways, but just like we're very different, and it's been a journey to kind of mold these worlds together, you know. But the reason I would say But Daddy, I Love Him is, again, because, yeah, we're very different. And so, you know, in a way I am like, yes, it's been hard. Yes, there have been challenges, but Daddy, I love him. But also the fact that I am gay, and even a lot of my family members are kind of like still about it, you know. And so, you know, I feel like I can relate to this, not only right now, but also in the past before I was out, of like, but Daddy, I love this man, you know, back when I was a lot younger. That was almost 10 years ago, actually, that exact experience I'm thinking about, back in high school. Wow, I'm getting old. The next part of this question, they are asking, why do you think it's so hard to come out? I think the reason coming out is so hard is more specifically to each individual, because we kind of are still in this process of accepting different sexualities just in general. And, you know, we've come a long ways, but we still have a long ways to go. And so each individual kind of like experience with it is going to be different. You know, there's different fears and different, you know, kind of rejections that might happen, or people not accepting, or, you know, it really can get dangerous for some people. And that's why, you know, it's so hard, especially for like those that grew up religious like I did. You know, it's like you are almost saying you are exactly everything that goes against what they want to believe. But I also think it's just because it's something that's finally being talked about more and more. Now, this has been going on, you know, for decades. You know, this isn't just like something, bam, it happened, but it's being more acceptable to talk about and stuff. And so, you know, it's getting, I don't want to say it's getting any easier to come out, but I think a lot of people are being more open to it. I would say even just from like 10 years ago, because like really the first time I growing up heard or even knew that like being gay was a thing probably was like 15 years ago. I was probably like 12, 13 the first time I even learned that like being gay was a thing. So even though I knew I was attracted to guys at a way younger age, I didn't know like what to call it, what it was. You know, I kind of just, I mean, in my little head, and then growing up, I just kind of kept, oh, I just really want like a best friend that's a guy, you know, kind of like a brotherly figure. Because I have a brother, but he's a considerable amount older than me, and we never really grew up together. So I kind of always just was like, I just really want like a best friend that's like a brother. But then, you know, as you get older and your brain develops and your parts develop, you're kind of like, no, I want a little more than I want to, Okay, this next question says, would you say that being gay is harder than being straight in America? I would say being gay, being queer, anywhere is harder, not only in America. It's just harder in general, you know. It's, I mean, I don't really want to compare things, but it's, you know, it's like people are going to assume you're straight until said otherwise or proven otherwise. They're going to just act like you're straight. Sometimes they'll ask you to act straight at certain events or different companies or around certain people or whatever, you know, like it's so like it's straight, or you go to these different places, go to these different groups of people to be gay or whatever, you know. That's like, I feel like we have these pride events, which is great, but a lot of, I feel like people in general are like, that's when you can be fully gay, that's when you can be fully yourself, is at those events, not just day to day. And it's like, you know, like with my family specifically, this is actually pretty personal. They oftentimes tell me that when I'm with my family, and if I have my boyfriend with me, he's my friend, not my boyfriend, he's my friend, and that's to protect who knows who. You know, and I'm just like, that's unfair. That's an unfair that you're creating. That is, you know, stupid that everyone else gets to have a significant other, but just because mine just so happens to have the same anatomy as me, we're just friends. You know, so I think it's just harder in general. I don't think it's specific to America. I think it's just harder in general. It doesn't really matter where you are, because it is kind of stupid that, like, again, it's getting easier over time and, you know, more acceptable, but yeah, even in, like, when we're out and about, just say my boyfriend and I, when we're out and about, yeah, there's, at least for me, I don't know about him, how much he's thinking about it, but at least for me, there's still a fear of, like, holding hands out in public and being close, intimate with each other out in public, you know? I don't know if we've ever really kissed in public. Like, we have kissed outside, but, you know, like, no one around to see. Okay, next question says, what is your favorite thing about your identity and your least favorite thing? Okay, so probably my favorite thing about my identity is that it's a part of who I am, and yet I would hope, I mean, yes, it is, I kind of shout it from the rooftops, but I'd hope I don't make it all of my personality, all of who I am. You know, just like I don't want Scooby to be all of who I am. I don't want, you know, me and my heart condition to be all of who I am. It's a piece of me, but it's not all of who I am. But I love just the fact that it really, I think, allowed me at a really young age to just love people. You know, I love to be around people. I love to talk to people. I'm such a social person, and I think partly, you know, being gay kind of helped with that, because it made me go, well, I am attracted to this specific gender, and I'm going to love this specific gender in that way. So I need to open up my mind and my heart more than I was kind of being raised, you know, a bit. Least favorite thing probably is just that, and you know, this started with my heart condition. You know, it's like I feel like I don't really belong anywhere. Like with my heart condition specifically, it's hard to find others that are living with half a heart, that are living with CHD. So then specifically with being gay, I feel like I'm not feminine enough, I'm not masculine enough, and I honestly don't care. I'm like, I am me, the end. I don't need to be this, I don't need to be a twink, I don't need to be a twunk, I don't need to be an otter, you know, I don't need to be in an open relationship, I don't need to be in a this, that, I don't need to go to this pride event, I don't need to be in hookup culture. There's so much that I guess my identity of being gay is almost, I would say in a way, just as hard as if I was still religious, because it's like at least from my perspective in the queer community, it's like you need to be this way or that, or you're not queer enough, you're not gay enough, or oh, you still have friends that are religious or something. I don't know, honey. Like, really, like, I don't know. There's just so many ideal things from queer people, but also other, you know, people that aren't queer. And it's, I don't know. I guess my biggest thing is just like, they're both trying to say that love is love and we love everyone, but they each have standards. They each, you know, I'm sorry, and this is probably going to make people mad, but it's like, if you're religious, obviously, there's a lot of talk about that. You have, like, standards of you're not meeting God's standards according to this. But if you're queer, then you don't meet these standards because you're religious, or because you don't go to these pride events, or because you know, I don't know. I just, even though you're queer, and this isn't everyone, this is just like a big generalization, but this is just the things I've seen in just being in both aspects in my life of religious and non-religious, and growing up not able to express my full queerness to then being out and proud of my queerness. You know, it's just like there's real no happy medium, and that's why I am me. You know, hi, my name is Ashton Hardy, I'm gay, I have half a heart, the end. That's it. Learn more about me as we hang out, as we talk. But no, I am not going to associate if I'm a twink, if I'm a twunk, if I like to bottom, if I like to top, if I, you know, no. Okay, this next question says, would you say it is okay to ask someone their sexual orientation, or is it better to just leave it as is unless they tell you themselves? So again, this one goes on a person-to-person basis, because some people it's not safe for them. You might be a safe person, but, and I'm not saying, you know, if you tell someone, oh, they're gonna go and tell everybody else, because people are trustworthy. There are people out there that are trustworthy, but for some people it's safer just not to tell. And so while I want us to eventually get to a place where it's like, yeah, we can totally just say our sexual orientation, I think at least where we're at right now, unless they specifically talk about it or tell you, I probably wouldn't ask somebody, like, unless you're in a very safe environment and mental place to bring it up. But the thing is if they, like if somebody is straight and you ask them if they're queer, you know, lesbian, gay, bi, whatever, there are times when someone can kind of get almost offended that you're perceiving them one way, because then they fear that, oh gosh, I'm coming off as gay, oh gosh, I'm coming off this way or that, you know, I'm not masculine enough, I'm not feminine enough to be this or that, and so I'm coming off this way, and they can get defensive, they can, you know, it scares them. And so I just don't think it's quite the time to be able to ask people their sexual orientation, which sucks. Because then you have to play a guessing game. You really have to. And it's annoying. It really is. But unless you can get it to come up in conversation, I wouldn't just straight out ask. You know, unless they're wearing something pride, queer, LGBTQ, I probably wouldn't ask. Let them say it first. Okay, this next question might be kind of a long answer, but I already did dip my toes into it a little bit. How has religious impacted you as a person when it comes to being gay? So, I grew up Mormon, you know, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I live in Utah, so clearly. I wouldn't say I had, like, religious trauma or anything. I just, like, growing up when I was in the church, I just felt very, like, and this is gonna set off a lot of people, probably some of my friends, but growing up, even like as a kid, I was kind of like, this feels like a cult. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of feels like a cult. But, you know, again, I wouldn't say I have any trauma from it. I just never felt like, this is it. You know, I was like, there's more out there. There's more to learn, more to discover, more to talk about. And while I'm not one to sit and talk about that stuff, I'm more someone who gains experience and just learns through experience. And by that, I mean going out to the world, hearing other people's stories, taking it in. You know, I'm not really one to sit and look up stuff and sit and read or watch stuff about the world or religion or whatever, but more so gain my knowledge and experience through experience and talking and meeting people and connecting with people. So I kind of like left the church around when I was 16, 17, about 10 years ago now. And then, you know, like I still go to certain things because I still have family that's active in that religion. I have friends that are active in it. And I never am annoyed if my friends or family talk about it. I really don't care. You know, I'm like, since I grew up in it, I can understand some of what they're coming from. The hardest thing for me, I would say, growing up religious is, like, I wouldn't say I've had to unlearn anything, but I've had to kind of relearn things, you know, and kind of learn that there's things that are okay, you know. Learn that it's okay that I've done this, or it's okay that I want to experience this, it's okay that I want to do this or try this or whatever. I've really had to open my mind. That's been the biggest thing is, you know, I grew up in this, like, okay, we're in this box. I've had to teach myself and learn from others to get out of the box and be like, I'm still a good person, even though I went and did that. Like, this is a very, 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 very tame one, but, you know, like, Mormons don't want you to drink coffee, and I've had some coffee, not a lot, but, like, you know, I can drink the coffee and not be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go to hell, you know. I'm like, great, awesome, you know. And then if we go even further, like, because, you know, there's this hookup culture in the queer community, in the gay community, and, you know, I dip my toes into that a little bit, but to not feel bad about that. I don't feel bad about it. You know, I hid myself for a good 23 to 24 years. So I have a lot to learn, a lot to experience. And, you know, so it's been, I guess the hardest part is just kind of what I was talking about earlier, is just feeling so torn where I have this, like, religious part of my life where family and friends are still part of, you know, various religions, not only Mormons, mainly Mormons, but, you know, various religions. And then I have the queer friends and community, and it's so back and forth of the, you know, the queer community bashing on religion, the religious community bashing on the queer community. And I'm not saying that comes from specifically my friends or family, but just, you know, where I live, and have grown up and stuff. You hear it, you experience it, and so, you know, I feel it makes me very uncomfortable and very I get such high anxiety when people bring stuff up, either side, either way, because I'm like, it doesn't matter, okay? Do what you want. Go be religious if you want. Go and, live your authentic life as your queer self. But don't sit and bash each other. Don't sit and fight each other, okay? If we would just leave each other alone, then this conflict we're talking about and arguing about or whatever that's making your bloods boil wouldn't exist. But you're too caught up in what they're doing or not doing and how they're doing it or how they're not doing it that it just bugs me. Anyway, hopefully that answered your question. Okay, next question. If you could tell people one thing about coming out, what would it be? I feel like this is kind of a cliche answer, but when you're ready, okay? I kind of came out fast. I didn't really plan it. I wasn't like, yeah, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna do this or that. I broke up with my girlfriend, Mariah, came out to her first, and then after that I was kind of like, well, I finally said it, so I might as well just come out. So then, like, I told my parents through a letter, and then I posted online. There's a video, I believe, like a half-hour long video, which I originally came out as bisexual. Now I'm like, nah, I'm gay for sure. When you're ready, and that was my time. It just wasn't planned, and it can be planned for you, or you can be spontaneous, as long as it's you and you're not being called out, basically. No one's calling you out. As long as it's on your terms, you feel safe and ready. That would be my biggest thing, which I know is probably cliche. Okay, this next question. What do I think about pride? I feel like pride is needed. And I feel like pride is needed largely right now, but I feel like down the road, maybe we could tame it down a little bit. Because eventually, I would just like these other sexual orientations other than straight to just be so normal as being straight, like straight being normal. Being gay, lesbian, bi, ace, whatever, is normal, and I want to get to a point where it's seen as that, as just normal. So I've never really gone to like pride events necessarily. I want to go to one at least, but they just seem not my vibe. I don't know. I kind of feel like a lot of queer communities and like gay communities, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of backlash for this, is very sexualized. And so a lot of like pride things I see, it's like you go very, very like thinly dressed, and it's just like I don't need to go to a pride event and like have sex with everybody. I just want to go have a good time, meet people, and I'm sure there are ones that are like that, and there's pride events that are great. I just haven't found one yet. So I think pride is really just about anything. There's good and bad to it. There's things that should change, but at the same time, maybe it's just because it's not my forte. I wouldn't say it's bad, maybe it's just not my forte. So it's needed right now, but I hope down the road we can still celebrate pride, but hopefully kind of the meaning of it isn't to like, it changes to becoming more of look where we got, which yeah, we're celebrating that right now, but like look where we got to rather than look where we need to get to. All right, this next question says, was it hard and very personal to tell us about it or not? Yes and no. Like, again, I kind of didn't plan to come out. I kind of just did it. I was just kind of like, here you go, everybody. So, like, I would say it wasn't hard to do it. It was hard after the fact. It was hard with all the backlash. It was hard with my family. It was hard with some friends and stuff. Just kind of the after effects of it was what was hard, not necessarily the actual action of doing it. Personal, for sure, because I've known that I'm gay. I didn't have the term for it for a minute, but I've known that I'm gay for, honestly, as early as 8, maybe even younger. All right, last question. Which character or characters from Heartstopper are your favorite and why? They say Nick and Charlie are my top 2 favorites. Tori is my 3rd favorite. So I'm probably definitely more of a Charlie, like personally. Like if I were to put myself in someone's shoes, I'm probably definitely more of a Charlie. But, I'm gonna say Nick purely because growing up when I was in high school, I've talked about this a lot, but my first love in high school was a guy, and Nick really reminds me of him, and I think about this guy every day still, and it's been nearly 10 years since all of that went down, but he made such an impact on my life, and I will hold him in my heart for the rest of time, and, I miss him every day, but he really became my lifeline during that time because I was in heart failure when he and I met and were going through stuff, and he became the reason I wanted to fight to live and stay. And, in another life, I would say he was the love of my life. But he was kind of just a huge milestone for me and a huge impact, and in a way kind of my hero. And I don't see him in person, but he comes up on various stuff from time to time, and just to know that he's doing good and that he's still rocking it is at this point all that I need. I just need to know that he's doing amazing, and even though it's been almost 10 years, I still and will, love him always and forever. All right, there are some of y'all's questions. Thank you for sending them in. Hopefully this gave you a bit more insight on me, kind of where I'm at with life, where I stand with some things. It's been an interesting journey for me, for sure, these last 3 years, coming out in 2021 to now 2024. My life has changed immensely, and I've been going through so many changes. I'm kind of like, what is life at this point, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon, but I did it to myself. I kind of sometimes will tell myself, I'm like, I did it myself. I made the choice to come out, which yes, I did, but in the end, I would never want to go back. I would never want to live that lie, and I would never want to lie to others, continue to lie to others, because I just wonder how much it would hurt them at this point, like especially Mariah, who I had dated at that point 3 years. Like, can you imagine if we were still together today? I can't. I'm like, she was one of my very best friends, and I miss her so much, but it wasn't right, and it was never gonna happen, and rather end it on a good note than a sour note, and a good note rather than a whoopsies note, if you catch my drift. So that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all who sent in questions. If you guys have more questions, you can leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to respond to them as best I can. But I appreciate all of y'all watching. Hopefully you all had a great Pride Month. If you don't care about that, hopefully you all had a great June. Welcome July. Summer is in full swing now, and I am so ready. So, till the next one, I'll catch you in the next one.